My name is Rakashay, and welcome to Stush Nerd Reads. This segment on my channel will consist of me reviewing fictional books from my bookshelf. These reviews are spoiler-free, so you don't have to worry about major details about the book to be revealed to you if you want to get this book yourself. I will rate this book using 3 different categories. You have plot, characters, and themes. Each category is marked out of 5 stars, therefore the book will be totaled out of 15 stars, and it will have an average score of 5 stars. I Am Woman is written by Colleen Smith-Dennis, known for her other works such as In a City Girl, For Her Son, and more. It was published by LMH Publishing Limited in 2024. I bought this book this year at the Jamaica Expo, and also guess who was actually there? The author herself. And yes, now I have a very special copy of this book. So yeah, Una can't talk to me again. Abby Sultry is a working mother of 3, unhappily married when her husband commits the worst betrayal. She's left with emotional, financial, and physical scars. However, she refuses to give in to her pain. Instead, she finds renewed strength to achieve her goals. Actually, the plot is really good. I think there's at least one plot line I believe that need a little more pacing. It's for a specific character, which I will get into. But the plot is really good. I love the drama, especially this is I wouldn't say it's super full of drama, but I think that you might like some of the drama that delivers. I really think that character drama is actually a good thing. Yeah, I do love the character drama. Once again, but maybe there's because especially it's so good because you feel like you almost want to tear your hair out because there might be some characters where I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you do this? Or oh my gosh, this is crazy thing for you to do. It is so good, that kind of frustrating kind of good. I also think it also has good pacing. However, the last couple of chapters were a little packed with too much info. So it's not that it's not unnecessary, because I think there's no plot holes or anything missing or unsolved. But because of the pacing, the chapters had so much info put into one, so it just made me wish maybe it could have been paced out a little better. And of course, that one plot line I was also talking about, I wish that maybe it could have went in a different direction, because I'll say this plotline felt like it kind of dropped part way, sort of, not fully, but sort of kind of part way, and then it just picked back up in the last 2 chapters. So it's not a bad conclusion, but I guess I wish it ended differently. But overall, I do really like this plot. I will rate each character based on 3 different categories. First, we have development, then writing, then my personal favorite, the Jankro category. I think overall, both the major and minor characters of this book are pretty good. Maybe some little problems I may have with them here and there, but overall, this is a really good cast. So let's talk about them. First, we have Abby Sultry. She's a hard-working mother of 3 and a grandmother to 1, and she's trying to navigate her failing marriage and her job. So when we first meet Abby, she clearly has a lot of stuff on her mind, and she definitely made up her mind to at least. So when we first meet her, she's really getting into the mood of trying to improve herself with every way she can. And when we read the circumstances to how she got into the situation with her family, yeah, you realize just how flawed she is in a sense. Because obviously these flaws are what contributed to why she's in the situation, and we're just seeing her trying to improve on herself. So she's actually in that state of mind where she's just improving herself, and I actually really like that. And the writing for her is really effective, because she obviously is I would say a very highly motivated individual. She's obviously trying to encourage her kids. Maybe she of course is trying what she can to improve her marriage with her husband, who I will talk about. And it is just, and it was quite unfortunate, but especially with how effective her character is. Like, so when we get to a point in time where we see like her finally just kind of freeing herself from her marriage, I actually could feel that relief on her, where she's able to finally do what she wants to do without like her husband had to interfere with it or whatnot, and she doesn't have to worry about much of it anymore. And I really love that. And yes, it can be agonizing to see like how she got to this point, but I really do enjoy her character. Okay, next we have Chazzy Sultry. So he is Abby's husband and a bunch of crosses. So he's arrogant and belligerent, and he rarely changes throughout the story. And he actually really serves as a main antagonist. You know, he really, his goal is essentially to just kind of, you know, downplay Abby's achievements or just to really discourage her from doing stuff. And he really does like, and actually I think their relationship is a prime example of just how toxic it can be, because it's quite unfortunate, like, you know, tries a prime example of this is not what you want in a partner at all. And, you know, of course Abby, you know, learned that over the, you know, short amount of time they're married, and then clearly both of them didn't really learn from their mistakes, but eventually Abby does, but Chazzy, he never does. And actually that's what makes him effective as an antagonist. And actually, yeah, as much as, you know, he's just like so frustrating and I really hate him, but that's what makes him effective as an antagonist. Maybe like the ending part of his story probably could have been a little better handled pacing wise, but yeah, that's what makes him effective as a character. Alright, next we have Zandy Sultry. So she is Abby and Chazzy's first child and their first daughter, and she's in every way her father's daughter. She can be arrogant, not necessarily belligerent to her parents, but she does have this demeaning manner toward her younger siblings. So Zandy, yeah, she does have significant development. That's what makes her much different compared to Chazzy. But you know, it's very frustrating to read about, but she definitely has like significant development. I also probably should add that, remember when I said that Abby actually has a granddaughter? So Zandy has a young daughter named Portia. So a major part of Zandy's art, of course, is her trying to kind of, you know, find and kind of have this sort of acceptance of her motherhood. And of course, there is like a significant journey here. She also like has an interesting side plot, but I wish that the ending part of her arc probably went a whole different direction. So I think that's unfortunate. I think there's just like, I wish that the ending part of her arc actually had maybe not a whole different direction, maybe a different ending, especially with some of the stuff she experiences throughout the story. So it's not too bad. Maybe I also wish we also could touch on a bit more of her relationship with, like, especially her younger sister, who I will talk about in a bit. So Zandy's not a bad character. She's actually pretty good. Frustrating, but good. Maybe once again, like, her character arc could have ended a little better. But, you know, overall, she's just she's actually pretty good. Okay, next we have Nina Sultry. She is Abby and Chazzy's second daughter and their second child. Now, she's more similar to her mother, so therefore she's hardworking and studious. You know, however, she kind of, with her being the middle child, some might say with the middle child, you know, they're often like just kind of left on the sidelines and whatnot. Her development is actually pretty good. So even though like she actually has similar qualities to her mother, so it's not like too significant of a change, but she clearly like has to kind of step up into a role with what happens. Like, she quickly takes responsibility. I don't know why she kind of reminds me of Martina from Inner City Girl, you know, but I think that it's just a thing where maybe Lena's not like quote unquote starving for attention, but she said she knows what she has to do, especially with some of the issues the family has. So she really steps up when needed to. So she's actually a pretty good character. I also, there are also like some really cool moments with her as well. So I really do like this character as well. Okay, finally we have Kanunza. I hope I pronounced that right. Kanunza. So she is Chazi's mother. She's very caring. She actually is essentially the caretaker of the third child of the Sultry family, which is Komalo. So, and he's autistic. So normally she's the one to take care of him mostly, and we see that, she clearly cares about him and whatnot. And she's also like, always taking care of him when Abby and Chazi are not home. And because he goes to school, she also is the one to receive him. So she's a really caring person. But listen, when I first read this book, I came out as a big hater. But then when I reread it, I'm like, okay, I actually understand her conflicts and her situations a lot better. And characters can also make mistakes as well. But listen, if I was in Ai's position, I would not trust her. I would have serious trust issues with her character after that. But yeah, she is a very caring, and she actually has, and she's very wise. It's actually also quite interesting that in the book, you also realize that Chazi also has some bits for personality, not necessarily personality in her book, but at one point in time, she was like him. I guess around when she was his age. But we actually do see that, yeah, she clearly is a stark contrast to who she was back then. Maybe there are some things she could have done differently, but I suppose once again, characters can also make mistakes and they have to learn to grow from it. Maybe a little bit here and there that she could have learned from. But otherwise, I think she's not too bad of a character. She really is essentially a big deliverer with major plot lines. So overall, she's pretty good. Not necessarily my favorite, but she's pretty good. Okay, so 3 themes I can identify are love and family relationships, feminism, and empowerment. So first for love and family relationships, so the Sultry family, they're not exactly a perfect unit. So when we see that, especially, but Chazi is really like the main issue here. And then eventually when he leaves, the family more than ever are, doing their best to be a united front. Abby, of course, along with her, her wanting to motivate herself to, get better education, improve her job. She obviously is doing whatever she can to help her kids and her granddaughter. And, of course, we do see like Lena and Zandy, of course, are coming into their own and actually trying to step up and keep their family together. And actually, that is really cool to see. So, the story starts off with them like being a pretty, chaotic situation, but through and through, they are coming together and just, making sure to keep their bonds. And actually, I really do appreciate this. All right, next for feminism. So the book talks about various feminist themes such as like motherhood, women's roles in society, and equality for education. Now, motherhood, of course, is like, I think especially it brings a lot for Zandy, because we will see like you'll actually read about like some of the stuff that she felt like, especially being, a teenage mother, how she had to be dealing with that. Abby, of course, is struggling like as a mother to provide for her children. She's trying to balance out her job. She's trying to balance out trying to get a higher education for herself. I like the solidarity among the major and minor female characters. So it's not just, the main sultry women. I do like we see this solidarity being talked about with, other minor characters. Like we see, it's like a little community of of women actually coming together to talk about their issues. Abby will actually have conversations with co-workers regarding like stuff like marriage and the work-life balance. So I do appreciate these bits of topics that they talk about. And Chazzy, his character, absolutely serves to try to, basically his misogyny is literally like essentially the exact opposite of like everything the book wants to be talking about. And obviously Abby's goal is that she wants to move further away from that. So I really do appreciate this theme a lot in the book. And finally, for empowerment, so majority of the female cast motivate themselves and each other to achieve their goals. Maybe there could have been some encouragement, especially for Zandy as a character. There could have been a little more stuff. Like, clearly she is highly motivated, but I suppose it would be nice, like, a community thing. Outside of her mom and her sister, it would be nice to see her mom, her sister, her grandmother, to see that kind of support for what she wanted to do. I think especially Abby, as a character, she embraces this theme more than anyone else, because obviously she moving herself to get herself back in school, trying to do all of these little things, and of course, and we actually do see how she tries to motivate herself to get things done, and she's of course not letting those kind of things stop her from doing whatever she can. So I really do appreciate all the themes of this book, so they're actually pretty good. I Am Woman is a story of empowerment that delivers the continued strength that women possess to achieve their goals. Therefore, if this is a book you actually would want, I would highly recommend reading it. With that being said, if you read the book yourself, tell me in the comment section below. Also let me know if there are other books that I can probably check out making videos on. That would be great. With that being said, thanks for watching this video.